Hello, welcome back to EDH on a Budget. I'm your host, Iceman, and today we're going to be going over 5 budget board wipes. By budget, I mean $2 or less typically, and board wipes are cards that destroy at least the majority of one card type. First up, we have Hour of Devastation. This is 3 red for a sorcery that costs about 35 cents. It says all creatures lose indestructible until end of turn. This does affect your creatures, unfortunately. Hour of Devastation deals 5 damage to each creature and each non-bolas planeswalker. So this hits 2 card types. Planeswalkers aren't a huge problem in Commander, but there are a few problem ones and the occasional planeswalker deck that might have more than one. So that little tack on is a nice one. And 5 damage to each creature will deal enough to destroy the majority of go-wide decks. I mean, even Angels will not survive 5 damage to the majority of them. And losing Indestructible is huge because most of Red's board wipes is damage based, and damage won't destroy indestructible creatures. So this is not going to be an end-all destroy everything, but the majority of the time this will wipe the board. Next up we have Chain Reaction for 30 cents. It's a sorcery for 2 red. Chain Reaction deals X damage to each creature where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. So this will pretty much take out everything that is not indestructible, because when you're playing a game of Commander with 3 other players, there's naturally going to be so many creatures on the battlefield that whatever the most powerful one is typically going to be destroyed by the number of creatures. With this, it is very easy to get 10 damage or more to each creature, and most creatures don't have toughness more than 10. So it is 4 mana, which is not too high. It's pretty good cost for a board wipe, and the reason it's so cheap is because it has so many printings. And Red has many ways to deal with damage and has benefits of, if you deal excess damage, blank happens, or if you deal damage to creatures, this happens. So this fits with Red very well. Next up we have what is the most iconic Red board wipe, and I had to mention it because it is Blasphemous Act. It is $2.33, so just barely above the $2 range. This has many printings, but each time it gets printed, it seems like it goes under the $2 range. So if you don't want to buy it now, maybe just wait till it's reprinted, because it's got dozens of reprints. Blasphemous Act is 8 in a red. This spell costs 1 less for each creature on the battlefield. Typically, you're just paying red for this, and it deals 13 damage to each creature, which again is enough to destroy pretty much anything that is not indestructible. And just like Chain Reaction, Red has many ways to take advantage of dealing damage or dealing excess damage. Next up is a card not too many people have heard of or played, I feel. It is Inight Rebellion. This sorcery costs 25 cents. It is 4 red. For each player, Inight Rebellion deals damage to that player and each creature that player controls equal to the number of creatures he or she controls. So this is definitely a very odd board wipe, because it's not dealing one amount to every single creature. It is like almost tailored to each player. And yes, it's going to affect you too, but since this card is in your hand, you could, if you wanted, attack some of your creatures that are gonna die in combat, or make some jump blocks to reduce the number of creatures you have. Also, this is going to just kill and take out the player that has really wide decks. If they got a swarm going off and they have like 20, 30, 40 creatures, this is a very nice answer because it doesn't just answer the Skew Swarm problem, but the player problem. So the player will be removed, and it's not gonna, its weakness is that it's not gonna deal a ton of damage to Voltron players. Since they typically only have 1 or 2 creatures, it's just not gonna affect their board at all. So maybe if you have a red Voltron deck, maybe you put this in there. It's definitely gonna feel one-sided. And last up, we have a card that is hardly played at all. It is called Structural Assault. This is 5 cents. This is 3 red. The sorcery destroys all artifacts. Then Structural Assault deals damage to each creature equal to the number of artifacts that will put into the graveyard from the battlefield this turn. So there's gonna be pretty much no games you play that there's no treasures, there's no mana rocks, no artifact mana dorks, no. This would even hit artifact lands if they're not indestructible. Like, at a 4-player table, this is gonna definitely deal some damage, and they can't even sacrifice their treasures or clues or anything in response to try to lower the number that the creatures will be dealt, because it says the number of artifacts put into the graveyard this turn. It doesn't say from Structural Assault, so it will count all the artifacts that were destroyed before the spell was even on the stack. So this is an interesting board wipe because it hits 2 main types. Even in a lot of colors, they usually just hit 1, or they just hit everything, like Farewell or something like that just says all non-land permanents. So you can definitely build your deck in a way that would take advantage of this. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Thanks for watching.